weekly breakdown of every NASCAR Cup Series race. Here are your hosts, Kevin Batstone, NASCAR Sky, and Jeff Davis.
Welcome back, race fans, to another episode of Mash the Gas. I'm NASCAR Sky. Joining me shortly is Kevin and Jeff. We're going to talk about the sold-out Richmond Cookout 400 and all about Austin Dillon finally getting a victory that he gets to keep. Then we're going to go on to what I'm very excited for, the Daytona Coke Zero Sugar 400, which I will be there. But before we get into all that, I have to ask, Kevin, who mashed the gas the hardest?
Well, we were griping on him pretty hard this year. I said last week I thought RCR was going to bring some speed. And sure enough, Austin Dillon shows up cleanly this time, guys. Leads 107 laps, doesn't have to wipe anybody out. Goes out there and secures a playoff spot. Scot-free, easy clear, no penalties this time. 3 gets it done, and this really shakes up the playoff picture, Jeff, heading into Daytona.
Yeah, it sure does. I mean, Austin Dillon, it's been pretty much exactly 1 year, and towards the end of this race, man, I was sitting there watching him going up there against Ryan Blaney. I mean, is he going to have to do it? Is he going to have to plow through another Penske car to get this win? But he did not. He ran him clean, and once he got ahead, boy, did he keep a good lead. He had about a 4-second lead there with about 15 laps to go. And, poor Blaney got caught up in traffic a little bit. And he was trying, and he was getting, once he got past that traffic, he was catching up on him. Just not enough laps left in the race for him to be able to catch up. So, yeah, Austin Dillon, for the second time in his career, lead more than 100 laps, was 107. So, yep, getting his 6th career win. It's kind of interesting that, 2 of them are Richmond, 2 of them are Daytona. And then, he's got a couple others under his belt. So we're going to have to see what he can do next week. We're going to another super speedway.
Yeah, definitely keep an eye out on the 3. But, his teammate, the 8, that's someone that I think is very underdog for this upcoming weekend too. But, yeah, I'm glad that he finally – because even though last year, he did wreck the 22 and the 11, I mean, he still – if it wasn't for that, last caution that had that restart, I mean, he probably would have won that race anyway, or he was already leading, Dillon was. So it's good to see him finally finish it. It is weird that he's kind of like not like a road course ringer, but like a Richmond ringer kind of. He just seems to be just so good there.
I mean, yeah, he's proven it. He ran well there last year. Obviously, we know how that ended, not great. So he kind of, you got a little bit of credit back, and Granddaddy was happy. RCR, they came down this year. We've been talking about their struggles. We blamed the equipment for a while. We blamed everything but the drivers, and I think Austin Dillon went out there and grabbed the bull by the horns. And I mean, I didn't have him on my radar to go out and win this race. Maybe a decent finish. Kyle Busch shows up on Saturday and runs the fastest lap in practice. Didn't really back it up great in qualifying, but I think this is kind of the spark that RCR needed. Is it a day late and a dollar short for the championship this year? Probably. But this is still something for those guys to build off of for sure.
It definitely was a good race, and I'm glad to see him that he was able to pull through out there and get out there. And I love how he also, found a kid out in the crowd to give him the checkered flag. I thought that was pretty cool. But, Ryan Blaney, man, he was running hot on his ass pretty much the whole time, even though Blaney only led 39 laps. When you look at it, Ryan Blaney made his, national debut back when it was the Nationwide instead of the Xfinity, which obviously is changing names next year. But it was in 2012 when he started in that 36 car. Man, he was 18 years old, and he looked like he's about 13 years old. I was looking at some old stuff from Ryan Blaney in the 12 car now. He's had a good career there. So, yeah, I thought Ryan Blaney really did try to give him a really good shot. And Bubba Wallace, leading 123 laps, did a damn good job as well. But I don't know what driver did not have some sort of penalty, and Sky kind of called it out last episode, about penalties. And there were so many penalties this race. It was crazy. So many speeding penalties, just pit road penalties. And, I'm sure you guys saw it where, Bubba Wallace didn't have that front tire quite on there, and it went rolling down pit road. And he luckily stopped before he even got on there. And the 19 crew, Chase Briscoe, just jumped in. He pulled into their pit stall. And those guys got right on it for him. Talk about a Toyota teammate effort. Jumped right in there and got that wheel right on for him.
Yeah, it's always good to see stuff like that. It was interesting to see him. That happened once this year, I think earlier. I remember everybody was upset and they were asking if it was going to be a penalty, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't know what it is with the 3 in Richmond these last few years, but he's just been really good. I do want to talk about Kyle Busch. We brought him up a few times, but, specifically that wreck where he wrecked Chase Elliott. I don't think by any means he intentionally wrecked him, but I think it's just kind of what Kyle Busch is now. Like, to me, it kind of seemed like he was throwing a fit and just being like, oh, of course, like all these dumb people. And he turned the wheel, not realizing, not spatially aware that the 9 was right there, and ended Chase Elliott's day. He had that was the first DNF that he's had off of last week, which was the first time that he's placed outside of the 20th all season. So I don't know. I mean, Kyle Busch, he is at least once a race getting penalties that are on the driver. It's not even fully on the team. So I don't know. I hate to see it for Kyle Busch because I am a Kyle Busch fan. He's making these rookie mistakes. It seems like he has no love anymore and he's just kind of given up. And I really hate to see that. But he finished second at Daytona last year, only lost to Harrison Burton. So we'll have to see how it goes. Maybe he can redeem himself.
I think it's possible with this newfound life that RCR has. But, that wreck with Chase Elliott, I think Jeff jinxed him last week on Mash the Gas. We were talking about his phenomenal 0 DNFs, only missing a lap here or there. That went out the window this week, Jeff. But, I mean, just completely out of Chase's control. These guys were already done wrecking in turns 3 and 4. And the speed, that Chase was carrying through there to clear the wreck. I'm not really sure why the 8 felt the need to swerve so hard to the inside. He had the whole upper lane. Was the spotter like, hey, the 9's coming? I didn't really hear the radio transmission there, but and I didn't really hear Kyle Busch's comments on it, if he, kind of owned it or anything like that. But yeah, ended up 16th, a lap down. Not the night they were looking for. I'm sure it's frustrating to see his teammate go out there and lead 107 laps, kind of dominate this thing. That's probably frustrating him too a little bit, Jeff.
It is. And Kyle Busch, like you said, he's just had a rough year. I mean, a minute ago I was talking about penalties. He had a speeding penalty on pit road, and with that wreck, it's too bad that he got into Chase. But, when he got into Chase Briscoe, it was actually what started it all when he got in the back of the 19. And then, 12 cars get caught up in it. And, I thought Chase was going to be able to squeeze through that. He almost did. It was looking really good, but it just didn't happen. So, unfortunate for Chase Elliott. And Kevin and I were talking about that yesterday too, or maybe Saturday night after the race. I felt bad jinxing him with only a 1 lap, not missed this entire season. And then he got cut out pretty early. But hey, he's still up there. He's doing really well. He's such a consistent driver that as far as playoff points, William Byron did clinch the driver's points, which I thought was pretty darn cool for him. But right behind him is Chase Elliott. He was only like 6 points behind or something like that, or not too far behind there for overall points. And speaking of the point system, again, I know we've been chatting about it, folks. But this playoff system, I just don't know what to think. I really don't. When you've got someone that's a 28th in 28th position right now for the playoffs, be able to win and get in there, like old Austin Dillon did in the 3 car, I don't know. It's the system just does not report. It doesn't reward consistency, and I think that's something that NASCAR is going to look at. I don't know how they're going to mix up these changes, but definitely something needs to be done.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. I mean, we bring up the playoffs a lot. I feel like a majority of the fan base is pretty unhappy with it, and not only was Austin Dillon 28th in points, but that's also his first top 5 of the season was winning at Richmond. So it's one of those things where, I mean, obviously I'm not the biggest Dillon fan, but I'm sure there's a lot of Austin Dillon fans out there who are, it sucks because you want to be excited for your driver like that, same like how I was with Harrison Burton last year, but it takes away a lot of the special that comes with winning because it's being overshadowed so bad with this whole playoff thing. And Mamba, I'm sure you guys heard of Mamba. He is a NASCAR personality on social media. I think he's on the Harvick Happy Hour podcast. He actually tweeted something very interesting. And I'm a big Mamba fan, so I hate that he even said this, but he tweeted that the whole point of the playoffs or the championship is not to crown the best driver. And he went on this whole spiel, which I don't know. It definitely did not make the majority of the fan base happy, me included. I think that I get what he's trying to say, but to me, it sounds so cheap. Like, what do you mean it's not supposed to award the best driver? Like, what is the point of a championship then?
Yeah, I heard some of his comments, and he does a good job covering the practice and qualifying over there on True TV. And good to see him out there with Kevin Harvick. Shout out to Keelan, by the way, who won here in Colorado Saturday night, and Kevin Harvick finished P2 there. But yeah, to your point, Sky, look, this playoff format, we know it's busted. Denny Hamlin calls it the 10th floor decision making that NASCAR does. The schedule's coming out later this week. That's going to be a mess. We're talking about possibly Dover All-Star race. Iowa's going to possibly not come back. Just a lot of different things there. But in regards to this playoff format, I don't see them fixing it for 2026. We were talking about fixing the car for potentially 27. I kind of think we're stuck with this package for at least another season until they can really get their hands around it.
Both the season and the schedule, I think we're stuck with them both, unfortunately. Well, not the schedule. The schedule is changing, but as far as the package of the car and the playoff format, that's something that we're not going to see anything change, I don't think, for next year. But this was overall just a really interesting race. I mean, it definitely was exciting. I thought it was totally entertaining to watch. Loved it, but it did not matter where you started in this race. I mean, it's crazy. Joey Logano coming from the very back in P38 to start this race, and then coming out P4, getting a top 5 finish in this race. And then, Kyle Larson, I felt kind of bad for him a little bit, setting another one of his records that he did not want, because as last week we know he started like P26, P27. That was his worst start ever. And then to see him in this race come in and where he started was like P30, I think it was. Yeah, P30 is where he started out. And then he comes up with, coming in P6. So we saw a lot of guys that were in the back. And I'm kind of wondering, was this one of those races where we just saw a lot of good passing, or was it because of some of the accidents that we saw, like we were just talking about with Kyle Busch getting into the 19 car and causing that 12 car pileup, or Daniel Suarez getting into the 54 of, Ty Dillon, and then getting into the 45 of Tyler Reddick, because Tyler Reddick was running up top there for quite a while as well. And man, I feel like as far as overall who got the butt end of everything, I think the 45 of Tyler Reddick got screwed more than anybody else in the field.
Yeah, I definitely seen that. And he's like, I always want to say he's not had that good of a season, but he really hasn't had that bad of a season. I do worry about him next week, only with, he's 15th in points. He's in by 89 right now, but it only takes, an early wreck or whatever to end your day. I mean, Daytona is so unpredictable. And but if I was the 48, that's exactly what I would be hoping for, would be the 45 to have some sort of issue at Daytona. But yeah, overall, it was a sold out race at Richmond. I've been to Richmond. I love Richmond. It's the first time I've ever met Joey Logano was at Richmond in 2021. So Richmond is a very special place to me. I don't know. I think it was a combination of everything, just the wrecks and passing and all types of stuff. I don't know. I'm very just worried about Daytona next week. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I'm looking at my notes and I worry for some of these drivers, like the RFK guys. They're not doing super duper great or anything, but they're definitely doing way better than someone like Austin Dillon. So it sucks to see them get pushed out. I did want to give, I have to give a shout out to my team Penske. They got all of their cars, all 3 cars in the top 5. And if you want to put Josh Berry P8, that would be all of them in the top 10. That's pretty cool. And yeah, Daniel Suarez, he got a P7, which, is very important for him to finish well right now, to get his name, as much as he can, whether that's controversy or whatever, because he needs a ride next year. So as much spotlight on his name that he can get is probably the best for him right now.
Yeah, you definitely called it. If other than Ty Dillon actually winning the race, or I'm sorry, Austin Dillon, I keep getting the brothers mixed up. Other than Austin Dillon winning that race, I was going to give a big shout out, like you just did, to Penske finishing P3, 4, and 5. You got to be pretty damn stoked when all three of your team drivers finish in the top 5. We've seen Hendrick do that a couple races ago, but see Penske do it for this go around was pretty damn good. And as far as the playoffs, like you were mentioning, this is another race where chances are we're going to see a new winner. And if we see a new winner, yep, Alex Bowman's out. Tyler Reddick might be in on points. If I were Alex Bowman right now, I would literally think, okay, I am definitely in a must-win situation. And of course, the guys below him, Chris Buescher, Ryan Preece, and Kyle Busch, definitely are in a must-win, no matter what. Tyler Reddick, he might squeeze it in by the skin of his teeth, but that's if there's no huge issues. But if anyone's going to make it in on points, it's going to be Tyler Reddick.
100%. If I'm Tyler Reddick, I'm considering myself locked into the playoffs just based on the point advantage that he has. He would basically not have to show up this weekend for him not to make it. And if we see a repeat winner, Alex Bowman's locked in the way I'm looking at this thing. I just don't see how they can overcome a 60-point deficit, even if he finishes last. So those guys, I think, are locked in. If we see a repeat winner, Bowman's out. If we see a new winner, which we know is very possible at Daytona. But before we go completely to Daytona, back to Richmond, overall, guys, I thought it was one of the best short tracks of the year. Iowa, we kind of it was what it was. I think we'll see if it's even back next year. But Goodyear did a great job with the tire fall off. The racing on track action was really good. Of course, we saw some beating and banging, which gives a lot of excitement. We had one of our loyal listeners reading off one of his comments from last week. We were pretty hard on Watkins Glen last week. And so one of our listeners wrote in here that there was nothing wrong with the Glen race. He said it was a terrible race coverage by the team. They missed so many passes during the race, and it was a massive ad fest. So that was the feedback we got from our comments on the Glen last week. Overall, though, guys, I just think that Richmond was one of our best short tracks of the year.
Yeah, that gentleman that wrote in on that, I think he's correct 100%. We've talked about the broadcasting this year, and Fox has struggled with it. NBC and TNT has struggled with it. I think Amazon Prime, man, they did the best job. And I was kind of skeptic of it. I really was. But we've been talking about this too for a while. It's frustrating when you're wanting to watch. Okay, I want to watch the practice. I want to watch the qualifying. What channel's the truck race on? What channel's the Xfinity race on? Which again, we were just talking about, next year they are changing the name to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. So pretty excited about that. O'Reilly's has been a huge sponsor of all levels of NASCAR across the board for many, many, many years. It's just going to be interesting what we've got.
Yeah, that whole them leaving or switching from Xfinity is pretty crazy. I loved calling it the Xfin series, so I have to see what I'll call it now. It's kind of a big name there. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I would also say that Prime probably did the best broadcasting in general, which kind of looking at it, backing up. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you think about it. I mean, Prime is probably the most hip. I mean, that's probably not the best way to put it, but the most hip to the, what people want nowadays. I mean, they're a streaming platform, so they would probably know. So it doesn't really surprise me too much there. I really liked all the people they had on the panel and everything. I enjoyed that so much. But yeah, like I said, Richmond, love this race. I thought it was probably one of my favorite races that I've sat and watched in a little while. I also wanted to give, I was looking at my notes, one more shout out, SVG, a top 15 at Richmond. I mean, that's pretty awesome. So we were talking about him just needing to finish good in advance. And hey, I mean, he did it at Richmond.
Well, like we said last week, kind of breaking down his average finishing position overall, excluding the road courses, of course, his average finish on the ovals right around 17th, 18th average. Now, there's a lot of DNFs in there that can skew that number one way or the other. But if he can average an 18th or better finish through the first round, and who knows, it might even be better than that. He might have a chance to go out and get a top 10, when we get to St. Louis or finish it up in Bristol. I think SVG, I'm going to go on record and say I think he gets through the round of 16, makes the round of 12, wins the Roval, gets into the round of 8, and I think that's as far as we see SVG go.
It's going to be tough. I mean, for him, he's really going to have to work his ass off. I don't know if I see him going even to the second round. Like you said, without a road course in there, I just don't see it happening. I know that he did better. I think, what did he finish? Like P14? Does it sound about right?
Yeah, he got P14, but don't forget, Jeff, all those bonus points that he's carrying into the playoffs.
He is carrying those bonus points. That'll definitely make a difference. But so finishing P14 was a really good accomplishment for him. It was really cool to see SVG out there doing that. So as long as he can keep that P14 or above, he might be able to squeeze his way in. There's a damn good chance. He's got enough room. Like Kevin just mentioned, he's got the playoff points. Do I want to see him in there? Heck yeah. I love Gizzy, man. I'd love to see him in there, making it to the second round and see how far he can go.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree. I mean, I honestly hope that SVG goes and wins the championship. Very unlikely, but I hope he does it so that NASCAR really has to take a step back and be like, okay, what are we offering to these people right now? Like, how did this guy go and win? Because that's kind of what it feels like anymore. I mean, this has been a big discord. I mean, I feel like it always is. I mean, we probably bring this up, if not once a podcast, once every other podcast about the playoffs and how we don't like it. And I don't like, for me personally, I am a huge Logano fan. I am a huge Penske fan. I literally have a 22 tattoo on my leg. You would think that I would be for the playoffs, that I would support it, but I hate it. And my driver wins. And my driver is like one of the only drivers who really benefits from it. And I hate it. And I wish NASCAR would take that into consideration. I'm someone who likes this driver who, and I hate it. It's not just someone who hates Logano, who hates Penske. I mean, it is dumb. Nobody 28th, 36th, whatever in points should be able to just jump up over people who have been grinding and working all season. It's pretty much saying that you get to sit back and coast around and, just win Daytona. And that's another thing, kind of griping here. And I'm sorry, NASCAR and fans, but I hate that Daytona rounds out the regular season. I mean, I have not decided who I am going to pick to win at Daytona because you could do so much math. You could try to do every algorithm, everything that you can do. You probably can't, you'll never be able to guess who won that race. It just seems so unfair and gimmicky, and I just hate it.
I agree with that, and I like the passion behind it because I think you're speaking to the general fan base of NASCAR. I think people are fed up, and they're going to start. Denny said it last week. It's as bad as the COT era. The fans are pretty pissed. We have a new generation of fans coming in, and if this product doesn't get better, if the playoff system doesn't align, I mean, Jeff, you're a huge hockey guy. We know how the NHL works. You can't be last in the Western Division and get a shot at the Stanley Cup. If you're the Colorado Rockies, the worst team in baseball, you don't get a wild card shot into the World Series. And if you're 2-15 in the NFL, you don't get to play in the playoffs. So why are we awarding teams that have not performed well all year? I know we're kind of beating a dead horse here. This is the playoff format they tried. It failed. It needs to be corrected. It needs to be adjusted. If we have to get it to the point where if you want to be in the round of 16, not only do you possibly have to win, you have to be 16th or better in points, 20th or better in points, something to make it make more sense.
Absolutely. And I love the passion of my co-hosts here. I love it. You guys are awesome. It's so fun working with y'all. I mean, it is, something's got to change. The only driver that we've known to be able to go through 3 different changes of playoff formats is Jimmy Johnson. And I know we never talk about him really enough. He's retired. He only runs a couple races here and there. But as far as consistent drivers, Jimmy Johnson was one of the most consistent drivers ever. And I don't think it was because cheating. I just think it was because him and Chad Canales, and especially old Chad, he knew the gray area. He knew how to push the limits. He knew how to squeeze it by. Was it cheating? Nah, they didn't catch him. They caught him a couple times. But regardless, it didn't matter what playoff format we were in, Jimmy Johnson could win him. So as far as consistency, we can see drivers out there do it. But like you just mentioned, Kevin, in any other sport, it's not like, okay, let's get down to the very last game before the playoffs start and then just roll the dice and see we've got someone in there, that's a shitty team, below 50% in the league and go, okay, yep, we're going to throw them right in there in the playoffs and screw consistency. It's just not fair. So I like the old format where you had to be like in the top 16 or the top 20 in points and have a win, at least one win and get in. But there's got to be some sort of a combination in there. And kind of like what Sky was mentioning, that'd be really freaking interesting to see SVG go in there and win this shit when we know that pretty much he only runs road courses in the top 5 all the time. And this year it's been P1, P2 the entire time, winning, what do we got now? 5 wins on road courses for old SVG. Like I said, I love the guy, but as far as rewarding consistency, that's what the name of the game's about in sports. And it doesn't matter what sport it is, folks. It's about rewarding consistency and the best teams. And then we want to see those top 2 best teams in whatever other sport go at it. But even then, they don't have just one game to do it. It's the best 4 out of 7 in all the other sports that we look at, so that it makes it a really fair average on what's going back and forth. Do we bring something like that into NASCAR where it's like, okay, hey, we've got the creme de la creme. Now we've got the top, four guys, and now let's go ahead and give them 3 or 4 races to show who's got the best average out of those. And of course, have everyone else run the field and everything, but we know they get a little bit extra room when it comes down to the playoffs. No one wants to wreck a contender driver unless you're really super pissed off at them. But I think that would be kind of cool to have like some sort of format where you average like 2 or 3 races for the very last few races like we do in other sports.
I honestly really like both of your ideas. I feel like they both could work. I mean, I've been for the 3 races because I don't think it's very fair that, let's say you're good at every track we go to, but you suck at Phoenix. So every year you're going to lose the championship just because you suck at that one track. And I don't think that's very fair. So definitely agree with, give us like a 3 race, make it a round, just like all the other rounds. You got 3 races, whoever finishes the best, they're the champion. I feel like that's a good way to kind of, I don't know, make it more fair. And what Kevin was saying, maybe 20th in points up, so you could still go out and win. If you're 28th, you're just not locked into the playoffs, and everybody else, all the playoff contenders, they should have won that race. But I really like what you both said. I think that that's really good. Before we get fully over to Daytona, I know we're kind of limited on time here, but what happens with the 48 if, we do have another winner and he gets kicked out? I mean, he would be the only Hendrick guy that didn't make it. I mean, I don't know. I can't say. I don't know what his contract is fully right now. I think he did just resign, but I mean, do we see him lasting a whole lot longer? I mean, when all your other teammates are making it with multiple wins and you're struggling on the bubble, I mean, that says something.
Yeah, it does. And it can certainly, so currently Alex Bowman has a contract with Hendrick through 2026. So he's at least guaranteed one more year with these guys. But is he kind of the low hanging fruit and kind of dragging his feet at HMS? We know that this organization has high standards and they expect to win races. And it's going to be interesting to see, right? Because if we see a repeat winner, Bowman's in, great. He makes the playoffs. He can go out there and start running good at Darlington. We'll see what he can do at New Hampshire. But if he doesn't make the playoffs, to Sky's point, that is going to probably, how does Rick Hendrick analyze that? Is he expecting all four of his cars to be in a 16-car playoff field?
That's really, really tough. I mean, Penske's the only team that has all of their drivers in there with the three teams that they do have. But Alex Bowman, I'm going to stick up for him here a little bit because I want to look at drivers' points. When you look at the consistency, and that's what we were just talking about a minute ago, is the consistency of these drivers. Alex Bowman's in the top 10 as far as overall points. He's in ninth place when you take all the other drivers that are out there. We got 36, 37 drivers that are technically points. Not all of them are full-time runners. I think we got about maybe 34, 35 drivers that are pretty much in every single race. But when you've got all four of your drivers in the top 10 and even, just say the top 9, technically, as far as points go, I think Alex Bowman's running pretty well. And if we didn't have the system like we do right now, we might not see some of these guys in here. I mean, it's just tough. I mean, Austin Cindric, I don't think would be in there. Josh Berry, I think he's got a good chance because he's been running really well. But Austin Dillon, I just don't see these guys. If you change the point system, I think Bowman would be back up there. So as far as low hanging fruit in the Hendrick camp, he definitely is the lowest as far as hanging fruit goes, like you mentioned. But if you look at him compared to all the other drivers and the point system out there, he's not in too bad of a spot, you guys.
Yeah, I definitely can get what you're saying. We're comparing him to Kyle Larson, William Byron, Chase, these drivers that we can all trust that are going to be good, are going to go out and win. I mean, especially Larson. Elliott, he's definitely better. I mean, he is way better than he has been since, he broke his leg or his knee or whatever the hell happened to him. But yeah, I mean, we're comparing it to some of like the highest of the high. So, I mean, I guess he isn't doing too bad, but it is just tough when you see, like Penske has all their drivers in, including their little baby team, the Wood brothers. I don't know. It's just interesting. I mean, for a while, the 48 was doing really well. Team. So yeah, I could affiliate team, baby team, affiliate team. They know it's funny because the Wood brothers, they've been around probably a lot longer than Penske anyway. So, but yeah, Daytona's coming up. I'm super excited. I'll be there. I already have my outfits picked out. I'm meeting Ryan Blaney on Friday. It's the last Penske boy I have to meet, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Let's see if we can get some mash the gas action there, live action Daytona with NASCAR Sky and Ryan Blaney. Let's get that going. That could be fun. It's going to be a great weekend. I'm reading here right now. Connor Zilic is expected to race this weekend, guys. He just had surgery on his collarbone.
How?
Yeah,
SVG.
He is slated to run. As of right now, it's still early. Does he get cleared throughout the week? I don't know. But as it sits right now, he's on the entry list for the Xfinity race Friday night. So that's going to be interesting. As we turn over to Daytona, look, do the previous winners really matter? I mean, I guess it's a talking point, but we go back a year ago, Harrison Burton comes out, steals the win. Kyle Busch runs runner up. Only Harrison Burton led 1 lap, the final lap. Kyle Busch led 8. Outside of that, Bubba Wallace led 16, Brad Keselowski led 8, and Chris Buescher led 10. That's the whole top 10 right there. So we know there's going to be a lot of passing. We've talked about our opinions on super speedway racing. We still have Talladega to get through in the playoffs. It all comes down to this. I mean, You can go out and run your best race. You could have the fastest race car on Friday in practice and qualifying and get completely wiped out in the big one. That's why we don't like the fact that the regular season finale comes down to someone else's mess. I just think it's ridiculous.
I love the track. I just don't think it should be a cutoff race. I really don't. But it's a great entertaining race. But yeah, as far as drivers to go for this weekend, man, it's kind of a tough pick. Do we see a new driver come in there? Very, very likely. 50-50 is what I'm looking at. It just depends if you get caught up. And if you're Tyler Reddick, I'd pull a Dale Jr. like he used to do. I'm just going to sit in the back all damn day and just not get caught up in anything. But right now, I'm kind of looking. If you're going to look at guys that have had really good success out there, we're looking like, Kyle Busch and Bubba Wallace and Brad Keselowski. So I'm going to go step out right now because we've only got a little bit of time left. I'm going to stick it out for the old BK, man. Give the number 6 driver a win.
I said that a few weeks ago that I thought Brad could definitely pull an upset win at Daytona. It'd probably be better for the 17 or the 60, which I guess they probably want to be upset wins then. Yeah, just like you guys said, I mean, you could pull every stat and everything. And I usually do when I go to pick my things. I look back at the different tracks, that are similar to the one we're going to, where everybody's finished this year, last year. But for Daytona, I didn't. And throughout this whole race, this whole podcast, I've sat and decided, I went back and forth. I think I'm going to go with Daniel Suarez in the 99. I think he's just been kind of on fire. This whole needing a ride, I feel like really lit something in him. And he's good at super speedways. I mean, he won Atlanta, 2 years ago. I have a good, strong feeling about him. So I'm going to go with good old Danny Suarez.
I like the upset pick coming in there. Daniel Suarez would come in 29th in points overall to upset the field. I am going to, I've gone back and forth as well. I want to pick a Spire driver, but I'm not going to go with Hocevar. I do think Hocevar has a shot. I'm going with his teammate, Michael McDowell, is going to come in here. He's going to upset the field. He's going to knock out Alex Bowman. Reddick gets locked in on points. I'm going old McDowell. I think he's going to make this thing happen.
McDowell is a really good choice. I wasn't even thinking about him, but he's someone that definitely could do it.
We're on to Daytona, folks. It all comes down to this. The regular season finale is going to be a wreck fest. Sky, you're going to be there on the ground. Are you going to Xfinity Friday and Cup?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to have boots on the ground there for some
nice
regular season MTG coverage there. Be sure to send some stuff out to everybody, Sky. I know you will.
Oh, for sure. And hey, if you guys want to comment anything you want me to do, let me know and I'll get it done too. Anybody listening?
Yep. Anyone listening or viewing on YouTube, be sure to follow NASCAR Sky at NASCAR Sky. Real easy to follow her there. And while you're at it, follow Mash the Gas at Mash the Gas. And be sure to subscribe to us on either YouTube or whatever listening platform so that the episodes come right to your device. Don't even have to worry about it. We'll be back next week to break down all this mayhem from the regular season. Who's in? Who's out? Is Bowman in? Do we see a repeat winner? Do we see someone come in and upset the field? Who knows? It's anybody's guess, guys. But until then, y'all,
mash the gas.
I feel the engine screaming back. I feel the sweat.